Thank you for that question. In my opinion, the United States military is long overdue to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. It has done more for peace and democracy and international security than any other organization in the world. A strong America is the best force for peace in the world. Aryanna and I have both served in our military. She may agree with this, about this, but for this to remain true, we need to remain the strongest military in the world. When the bad guys start to believe that they can take us on in a fight, very bad things begin to happen. Weakness invites aggression. However, we should be wise with our money, always make sure that our defense contractors are conducting business honestly and making sure spending decisions are made for defense reasons, not pork-barrel spending. The world is an incredibly dangerous place, especially the Middle East. And now is not the time to cut our defenses. I believe that large cuts would mean that we retrench and become more isolationist. Even the Secretary of Defense for this president has said if we go through with the sequestration cuts of $500 billion, it will result in the smallest Navy since 1914, before World War I, smallest Air Force ever, smallest land forces since before World War II. And so I think we need to maintain a strong military with overwhelming force if we have to respond anywhere in the world.
Mrs. Strader, how much is enough? When will we be spending too much? 2 minutes.
Well, first off, like I said, as an Iraq War veteran, I have to kind of disagree with the premise of this question. I think that the question we should be asking is, what are our goals for mission readiness in the future, being determined by those who are actually involved, those who are actually boots on the ground, not somebody sitting in an office up on Capitol Hill. We have to prepare for the wars to come and not to continue to fight the wars of 40, 50, or even 60 years ago. So we definitely need to look at what our mission readiness capabilities are and start planning more according to what our goals are versus what that bottom line is.
Congress Pitts, you have 30 seconds to ask a question of Mrs. Strader on this topic.
Ms. Strader, you didn't answer my last question. I hope you'll answer this one. You've been endorsed by Congressman Raul Grijalva, the co-chairman of the Progressive Caucus. He authored a budget plan that would cut defense spending by $800 billion below the president's request. This would be about a one-third cut in our military. Do you agree with this plan? Why or why not?
I think there's a real clear distinction between the military I've served in and the military that you served in over 40 years ago, Congressman. And I think in that we have a different understanding of what is needed on the front lines. We have technological advances that require us not to have to spend quite as much. You have to look at where this defense spending is at. It's in the procurement area. Not only was I an Iraq War veteran, but I also worked for the government as a supply technician when I got out. And I saw firsthand how much it cost for a hammer to be shipped overseas to support our troops, or how much private civilian contractors were being paid to provide security. The exact same thing my soldiers in arms were doing right next to me at half the cost. So there is a definite distinction in the difference between that military and the military of today.
The next question is on Iran. There's talk by many parties. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mrs. Strader, you have 30 seconds to ask a question.
Thank you. I don't mind. It's okay. Congressman Pitts, when I went to war in 2003, a war you voted for, my fellow soldiers and I were ill-equipped and did not have nearly enough of our vehicles up-armored. You claim to be a strong supporter for defense spending. If so, why did you send me to war without the tools necessary to keep us properly protected from Iraqi insurgents?
Were you in Iraq?
I was.
In Iraq?
I was stationed in a base in Jordan that operated into Iraq.
You were stationed in Jordan, okay. First of all, I have supported increases in defense spending, and as I said, I think these cuts that are proposed, across the board cuts, by the way, at the end of this year that we will vote on in lame duck, not what the president said. He signed this law. It will happen. I think they're too severe and draconian. And I will support making cuts in other places for this sequestration, which occurs over 10 years, so that it will not cause such draconian cuts to our military.